Today we're on page 87 in our notebooks, and we're going to be doing some more similar figures things. And what I need you to do is pause this video so that you can set up your notebook. This is your warm-up, and you have a half sheet on your desk that has this on it. It says each sentence below has been jumbled. Unjumble the sentences to form 3 important attributes about similar figures that your math teacher needs you to know. And so jumbled sentence number 1, it has these 4 boxes, and you have to put those boxes in order. You're going to do the same thing for jumbled sentence number 2 and jumbled sentence number 3. So go ahead and pause your video so that you can get your warm-up done, and I will come around to check it for you. For number 1 on your warm-up, this is what you should have gotten, and if this is not what you got, then make sure that you go ahead and write that down. Number 2, you should have gotten corresponding angles of similar figures must be congruent, and if you didn't get that, go ahead and write that down. And the last one should have said corresponding sides of similar figures must be proportional, so if you didn't get that one, then go ahead and write that down as well. Your learning goal is to find the missing side of a set of similar figures using proportions. Your language goal says color code similar figures. Example A says find the missing side. So what I have here is I have a missing side, which is x. It's listed with my variable. Let's go ahead and color code that one first because I need to know that side. That's whatever side has the variable on it. Well, this is my big triangle and this is my small triangle, and I want to go ahead and color code it on the small one. So I know that side AC matches side DF. The next thing I need to do is color code the other side. So I want to color code side AB. And then I want to go ahead and color code that on the other side as well. If you notice on side BC here, I don't have any numbers. So I don't really need to color code those sides. I can if I want, but not necessary. Let's go ahead and draw a box. And the first thing I want to do is I want to label my box. I want to label small and big at the very top. And then I want to label my colors that I used. So I used blue and I used green. So all I'm going to look at here is that I notice where it says small and blue, which is in this box, says small and blue. I want to look at my small triangle and the blue side, and that happens to be 10. Then I see where it says blue and big, and I want to look at my blue or my big triangle and look at the blue side, and there's an X there. Then I look at my green, and it's green and it's small, and so I look at my small one and I look at the green and it's 8. And then I look at the green one and the big one, and that happens to be 20. So let's go ahead and rewrite this proportion over to the side. So I have 10 over 8 is equal to x over 20. So in order for me to solve for x, I have to cross multiply. And I know that 20 times 10 is 200. And then I have to divide by the number that's left, which is 8. I know that 8 goes into 2 0 times. I know that 8 goes into 20 2 times. And 20 minus 16 gives me 4. Bring down your 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. And that leaves me with no remainder. So I know that x is equal to 25. And don't forget your units. I'm using centimeters, so it's 25 centimeters. And that's your answer. So let's look at the next example. The next example says find the missing side. And so the first thing I want to do is color code. Because I'm finding the missing side, let's go and find the one that has the X. Well, the one that has the X is side AC, so let's color code that one first. If you notice, this is the side where I have 1 here, and I have a box here that represents my right angle. So I need to find on my other triangle, I need to find the one that has 1 and a box. Well, okay, I see 1 here, and then I see a box here. So I know that I need to color code side EF in red. Because I only have one other number, let's go ahead and color code this one. And I know that that goes here. But again, I want to find where that box and those 2 lines are. And if you notice, I have a box and I have 2 lines, and that all touches that blue side. So I want to go ahead and set up my box here. And on the very top of my box, I'm going to put small, and I'm going to put big, and then on the off to the left side, I'm going to put those two colors that I used. So I used red and I used blue. So I know in my small red triangle, I have 7.5. I know in my big red triangle, I have an X. Then I look at small and blue, and I have 5. And I look at big and blue, and I have 6. So if I were to color code my proportions here, these go together because they are both red on my triangles, and these go together because they are both blue on my triangles. So let's go ahead and write our proportion off to the side. I have 7.5 over 5, and that's all equal to x over 6. And so in order for me to solve for x, I have to cross multiply 7.5 and 6. I know that 6 times 5 is 30, so I put 0 and carry the 3. And I know that 6 times 7 is 42. 42 plus 3 is 45. But I have a decimal in here, and I have one decimal, or one place behind my decimal, so I need to move over my decimal one time. So I have 45. Now I have to divide by what's left, so I have 45, and I'm going to divide that by 5. What I know is that 5 goes into 45 9 times. So my answer is going to be 9. So I have x is equal to 9, and then I need the unit, which happens to be inches. So 9 inches. Let's go ahead and go to example C. And that's on the back of your paper, so you're going to have to flip that over. Example C says find the missing side. So again, I'm going to start where that missing side is. I know that that missing side is where my X is, and that happens to be side SV. And so I need to color code on the other triangle, or my rectangle. My big rectangle, I need to color code that one, which happens to be side WZ. Please don't forget to label small and big. Then you're going to need to draw your box, or before I draw my box, I need to color code that other side. So I'm going to use blue. I only need one other side, so I really only need to use 2 colors when I'm color coding. Let's go ahead and draw our box, label this small and big. And then I want to label it with the 2 colors I used. So I used red and I used blue. So what I know is that this all needs to be red, and this all needs to be blue. So I want to look at my small red, and I know that my small red is an X. Then I want to look at my big red, and that's 26. Then I want to look at my small blue, which is 7.5. Then I want to look at my big blue, which is 12. So let's go ahead and write this proportion off to the side. So I have x over 7.5 is equal to 26 over 12. So again, I cross multiply 26 and 7.5. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 plus 3 is 13. I put my placeholder here and cross out what I've already used. I know that 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 2 is 14, and 14 plus 4 is 18, and then I have to add these all up. So I have 0, 5, 9, and 1. Don't forget that I have one place behind my decimal, so I need to move over my decimal one place, so I have 195. But I'm not done. Don't forget to divide by 12. So I have 195, and I'm going to divide that by 12. 12 goes into 19 one time. 9 minus 2 is 7, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Bring down your 5. I know that 12 goes into 75. Let's see, I think it's 6 times, but let's see, 12 times 6. We have to double check ourselves. So 6 times 2 is 12, and 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 plus 1 is 7. So I have 72, and I know that I cannot go in anymore, so I put a 6 up here, and I subtract 72. 5 minus 2 is 3, 7 minus 7 is 0. So I have a remainder, but I don't like remainders, so I want to put that decimal, and I want to go ahead and add that 0 there. 12 goes into 30 2 times, and 12 times 2 is 24. I have to borrow because I cannot do 0 minus 4, so this becomes a 2, this becomes a 10. 10 minus 4 is 6, and 2 minus 2 is 0. Another remainder, so let's go ahead and add one more 0. 12 goes into 60, I know that's 5 times. And I'm left over with no remainder. So I know that my answer is 16.25. So x is equal to 16.25, but I need to add my unit, which is meters. So 16.25 meters. Let's go to example D. Example D looks like the shapes that you had yesterday on your assignment, and so what I want to first do is I want to find the missing side, so I have to find where my variable is. So it happens to be right here. So I color-coded this on my larger one, but I have to color-code it on my smaller one as well. Then remember that I only need one other side, and so what I want to do is I want to use the sides that don't have decimals in it. You can choose to use a different side, but I think it's easier without the decimals. So let's go ahead and color code that. You can color code that with blue on your paper. Alright, so let's go ahead and label. We have our big and we have our small. Then I want to create a box. I want to label my box small and big. And what I also want to do is I want to create the other labels with my colors that I use. So I want to use red and I want to use blue because those are the two colors that I used. So my small red one, because remember that this will all be red and this will all be blue. So my small red one I have 10. My big red one I have X. My small blue one I have 6, and my big blue one I have 15. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. So I have 10 over 6 is equal to x over 15. Remember, I have to cross multiply and then divide. So let's cross multiply. I know that 15 times 10 is 150. Then I have to divide that by 6. 6 does not go into 1. 6 goes into 15 2 times, and so I subtract 12 here. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Go ahead and drop down that next 0, and 6 goes into 30 5 times. And I'm left over with no remainder. So I know that my answer is 25. So I have x is equal to 25, and then I need a unit. Don't forget your unit. So I happen to have yards here, so it's going to be 25 yards. You're going to want to glue these notes into your notebook if you notice the front and a back. So you're going to need to make a tab with one strip of glue and then go ahead and glue those in on page 87. You have a spreadsheet for you to check your answers, so go ahead and make sure that you open that up, and then I want you to get started on your assignment. It's 12 questions, and you may use a calculator on this. So go ahead and open that calculator up on your computer, and if you have any questions, please raise your hand.